Absolutely.
Really impressive wins. What stood out for
really
you?
great teams. What stood out was Derek Carr.
Yes.
And Derek Carr has been held at bay by the team, by management, and by John Gruden for a number of years without. He wants a contract. Everyone in the league at a quarterback wants to be the guy.
Right.
Last night I heard John Gruden after the game tell him, here, listen to John Gruden real quick, and we'll comment.
I just let his performance speak for itself. I've been clamoring about Derek Carr since I've been here, so hopefully he gets some recognition for doing what he did today. He had some long drives. He was big again at the end of the game against two great defenses 2 weeks in a row, and it's a big reason why we've been able to win.
Well, go ahead after that sound.
First of all, I like John.
Of course we do. We love John.
That's a lie. Because ever since John Gruden has always wanted a quarterback that can extend plays and throw the football down the field, and Derek Carr hasn't been doing that. So he can say that I'm sitting up here, I've been in love with Derek Carr. That's a lie. Now, what he's in love with is the way that Derek Carr is playing right now. But don't fool America saying that you've always been infatuated about John.
And we talked last week, what would Derek Carr need? He's a pleaser. He wants to have John Gruden love him. And John Gruden can only love him one way, to tell him that you are my quarterback. I have a 10-year contract. I have 6 left. And if Derek Carr, I want you to ride with me for those 6 years. And he can do a lot for the whole organization by telling Derek Carr that right now, not tomorrow, right now. Tell him, Derek, you're my guy for the next 6 years.
And they toyed with the idea of going after Tom Brady when Tom Brady was a free agent. They toyed with the idea of making a play for Aaron Rodgers. They backed off both because they like Derek Carr enough, and now Derek Carr has stepped up to the point where he's playing as well as anybody.
But they did not back off enough and like him enough to give him a contract to tell him and the whole team, you're our guy.
But
we believe in you.
If he plays like this all year,
so it has to be all year.
Well, I don't know. They're not going to do it right now.
So it's still a tryout. He's still in tryout phase.
The point being, Gruden has never met a quarterback that he didn't like. When Kyler Murray was coming out, they went and worked out Kyler Murray. So he's fascinated with not just the quarterback that he has, but with the next quarterback. And Derek Carr, I think, is tired of that. And to your point, why don't they go ahead and reward him? He's making $25, $26 million a year. He deserves to be in the $40 million a year.
If you want the Raiders to be great this year, why? Because if you ask him, you hold to stay apart, Randy. If you were Derek Carr and you didn't have the contract, and the whole team's looking for you to be the leader, but yet you haven't been the vote of confidence. How do you get the best out of yourself? How do you get the best out of the team? You can't lead from authority.
Well, let me say this about Derek Carr. I don't know what the future holds for him as far as his contract, but I'm going to talk about what I saw yesterday in his performance. Week 1, we were there. 19 targets to Waller. Yeah. For him to be able to find different targets to be able to find the game, to make it happen. There's another tight end, Foster Monroe. Get used to his name, number 87. And Henry Ruggs being able to take the top off the defense. So whatever's going on in Oakland prior to this season, Derek Carr's on a mission, Steve. Contract or not, he's leading that team.
Can they give him a contract, Adam?
Well, could they tell him today? Sure, they could do anything they want. But again, what difference would it make if they rewarded him right now or waited to see how he played this season?
It's job security.
Well, why do they have to give that to him right now?
He's been playing without it for 3 years. He's a kid that needs that vote of confidence.
Hasn't slowed him down the first 2 weeks.
Here's what John wants to see.
Years.
Here's what John wants to see. Wants to see him extend plays, protect the ball. A little more magic, like Lamar. Extend plays, protect the ball. He does that.
He'll get a contract.
He's been doing it.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Stealing a line from you, Steve.
You can't get the monkey off your back in September, buddy.
You're right.
He knows that too.
Yeah,
he knows that
the
too.
right perspective.
It was the right perspective. He wants to go back to work and make it happen, but he is Superman. I mean, last year against the Cleveland Browns, I mean, he came out of the locker room like Superman. He might as well play with a cape. I think that might be a thing that we want him to do.
Big trust. Whoop, whoop. You remember Eagles said that, right?
Big trust.
That's just the trust and the faith they have in a guy like Lamar Jackson. But let me say something that really stood out to me in the second half, Lamar Jackson. Did you see how explosive he was coming through the hole? And to me, it just looked like, I said last week about, made the joke about the Flexall and the Red Hot, being able to carry the team. And you just seen what Harbaugh was just talking about, all the faith he had in this young man to put the team on his back. But you also have to give love to the running backs with Young Williams and also Latavius Murray for being able to pick up where Lamar Jackson was able to leave off.
And you could tell that Lamar is tired of hearing us talk about him. Yeah, you haven't beat the Chiefs yet, and he talked about the proverbial monkey he got off his back. He's doing it differently. And I realize we're used to watching the quarterback be played a certain way, from the pocket, rolling out, in rhythm, timing, precision, accuracy. He's never going to do it that way. Steve, I'm telling you, he's never going to do it that way. And I think it's up to us to say, okay, can you get the job done? Not how you get it done, but can you get the job done? Because if he can get it done, what difference does it matter how he does it?
I agree with that. If it's 250, a game like last night, 250 yards rushing at the end of January or in February, is that proven to be the way to do it? It is not. But you're saying, wait until it happens and then you'll prove me wrong. But until it does, I think Lamar Jackson is the kind of kid that could take on a sophisticated passing game and I don't want to belabor it.
Correct.
But I believe he could become one of the great passers of the football, which to me is the most interesting thing to ask about. And I don't think the Ravens are not going to do that. I agree with that. They're not looking to do that. And that's why I said it last week. But look, leave it alone. If they can have the most sophisticated rushing game in history and they can go run the table and win the Super Bowl, go do it. But until now, it has not happened.
Let me say this. A mobile quarterback is going to be able to get it done. If there's one, it
will
be
quarterback.
It will be Lamar Jackson. But when you look at how critical that I've been over the Baltimore Ravens since Lamar Jackson get there, their playmakers stepped up when they needed to, and it wasn't just Mark Andrews stepping up.
I remember you said something a long time ago. Now, I don't even know if you remember. You said, I became a quarterback from the pocket when I turned my legs off. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he'll ever turn his legs off.
Well, it has to be trained. It's a training thing.
But he's not going to turn them off, though, Steve.
If I could if I said, Lamar, you could be the greatest player that ever played, not just a superstar, Superman, everything else we're talking about, but the greatest that ever played and Super Bowls to go with it, if you could turn it off long enough to be trained to be a sophisticated passer. I didn't want to turn it off. That was my bread and butter. You don't turn it off.
So
you just train yourself.
So real quick, Lamar Jackson has to show you that he can stay in the pocket and deliver a ball. You just seen him throw a jump dime, Steve.
No, I'm talking about sophisticated passing game from the Ravens. It's not his fault.
Okay.
It's not, he's not asked to do it.
I know what you're saying.
I want him to be asked to do it.
Right.
He just has not.
Well, and think about the playoffs. That's the time.
Right.
The time is the playoffs.
That's to get the monkeys off the back in February. Right?
And he beat the mighty Chiefs, though, at a time where this team is embattled. They've lost all these players, 14
100%.
players on IR, and they were looking at going 0-2, and they were down, and he bailed them out from a double-digit deficit. But I'd like to see you talk to Lamar when we play. I'd like to see you tell him
I would
that.
love to have a conversation with Lamar, just to have something to think about. Because I guarantee you, as a player, you want to get the full measure of who you can be. And so many guys who have legs don't get the full measure of who they can be because they don't go through the training to actually become a sophisticated passer. I'm just telling you, the full measure of Lamar Jackson is even more than what he is today, which is shocking.
Well, here's the thing. We all learn from Steve Young, and Lamar Jackson can learn even more from Steve Young.
Randy can call guys and make a difference. I don't know.
He does do that. But both of you.
Don't y'all start it, man. Don't start it. You're next in line.
I don't know what you think you're doing with this Packer green jacket. They know you from the Viking days.
That's money green. That's not Packer green. That is money green. Boy, you casket sharp, boy.
I can't believe he wore that tonight.
Straight cash, homie. Let's get it.
Hey, you know what I was thinking about? I was thinking of all the talent that was on the field last night. I mean, think of for the Chiefs.
Amazing.
And Lamar stood out as the best player on the field.
By far.
But he has it in perspective because they're already looking ahead to some of these guys. They've got the Lions coming up next, and the Lions have a big test